walked across a field of corpses, bodies everywhere, all Russian soldiers.
There were 36 of us. Only 10 survived.
No one was retrieving the bodies or doing anything at all.
Everywhere you go, doors are basically shut in your face. We don't deal with this. We don't know what to do. And it feels like the life shown on TV is one thing, but here, it's something completely different.
If someone is listed as missing in action, there's already a 90% chance that they're dead.
We found him on our own.
Your relatives found you through the I Want to Find project. Each of you will be able to contact your family today.
Do you think your family is looking for you?
Can I not answer that question?
What would you like to say to your loved ones if they see this video?
That I'm alive.
Tens of thousands of Russian soldiers are listed as missing in action. The Ministry of Defense does not publish any statistics on this topic, and it may not even keep any records at all. The only way to estimate the number of missing soldiers is by using the number of inquiries filed by relatives. So far, there have been nearly 70,000. This is the number of requests received by the I Want to Find project. Nearly 70,000 different names and surnames. Nearly 70,000 people whose families are in despair.
My husband was mobilized on September 27, 2022. They told him that if he didn't go, he would end up in jail. That's it.
I think everyone was in shock. No one was prepared for such a turn of events. They didn't expect it. It was terrifying. Everyone was just lost. They simply did what they were told. They were told, "You're mobilized, you have to go, it's your duty to defend the motherland." So they grabbed their things and went. Just shock and fear. No one must have felt anything else.
After 4 months, instead of going to the front line, they were sent to dig trenches. Is that right? As I understand it, it was a green zone. Then they were gradually moved closer and closer. And eventually, he crossed the red line. It was his first assault. He didn't return from his first assault.
Most of those missing in action are from the storm units, which are often formed from prisoners who were offered the choice of serving in the war instead of serving out their sentence.
I went to war on a contract because I didn't want to stay in prison.
Далее, через полгода, уходите домой, получив помилование. Те, кто хочет остаться с нами, остается с нами. Поэтому вариантов вернуться на зону нет никаких.
In 2022, Prigozhin made an offer, but I didn't go. I didn't want to fight. But this time, I had no choice.
Did Prigozhin make you an offer? Were you still in prison then? And then you got out?
Yeah, I got out. Lived a normal life, worked. Then I got into trouble again and went to war. On November 13th, I went on my first combat mission, and on the 14th, I was captured.
I was sentenced to 5 years for going AWOL. The prison conditions were such that I had no choice but to sign a contract and go to war to clear all my criminal records. My sentence was lifted in 2023. But then I ran into financial difficulties, so I had to go to war to resolve those financial issues. I got wounded while serving in the Svatova direction. They evacuated me and started treating me in hospitals. I was ordered to go to Narofominsk, but when I got there, they didn't admit me to the hospital or provide treatment. They just told me, "You'll get a call when the medical evaluation board is scheduled. That's it, dismissed." My unit didn't take me back. My wife called, asking how things were going. She told me, "Come home, get treated there, go on medical leave." So I went home and started treatment. 2 weeks later, my military unit finally called and said, "You don't have the right to get treatment in such facilities. You are a serviceman." I asked, "How can I not get treatment if I'm a citizen of the Russian Federation?" And then they opened a criminal case against me for going AWOL. Then there was a trial, and I was sentenced to 5 years in a general regime prison. I didn't even understand why I was sentenced. Honestly, why was I imprisoned? If I had committed a crime, broken the law, done something wrong, I would have understood. I would have known why I was in prison. But I have no idea why they locked me up. And the 5-year prison term, for what exactly? For going home to get treatment? That's the crime of the century, I see. I went home to get medical care, and they slapped me with 5 years in jail for it. I signed a new contract to prove to them that I didn't abandon my unit. I wasn't scared, despite what they wrote in my records, that I was afraid to go back. I wanted to hold my unit commanders accountable because they were the ones who should have been judged, not me, for the way they treated their soldiers.
The Storm unit of the Ministry of Defense is primarily composed of former convicts. I used to work with convicts myself. After finishing school, I enrolled in a police academy where I spent 5 years as a cadet. After graduating, I worked for 3.5 years in a maximum security prison. My last position before leaving was deputy head of the institute. An acquaintance offered me a position within the Ministry of Defense as a legal advisor at the Donetsk Oblast Military HQ. I signed a contract in September, on September 5th to be precise. I was hoping for a staff position with minimal risk. The Ministry of Defense had promised me an officer rank, and I thought it would be good for my family and our financial situation. Later, that acquaintance told me that the staff officer position wasn't available at the moment and that I needed to complete training first. I went through training and was then assigned to an assault group within the Storm unit, where I became a commander.
The 15th Motorized Rifle Brigade, Military Unit 96,600, has the highest number of missing in action reports. Families of soldiers call it a black hole due to its massive personnel losses. According to requests submitted to the I Want to Find project alone, the 15th Motorized Rifle Brigade has 1,400 missing soldiers. Russian servicemen are dying and disappearing en masse, largely due to the blatantly criminal actions of commanders who send them to certain death.
Our company had over 120 people, and they were all wiped out in a week. It was some kind of inexplicable genocide. I don't know what was going on. They were taking us out one by one. I was taken out second to last, and they led me straight into the Ukrainian rear, completely alone. A drone guided me, and I could barely walk. I was so exhausted. What kind of soldier could I be in that state? My rifle was taped up with duct tape. I was simply guided into a dugout where people were waiting for me. I thought they were friendlies. They even helped me climb in. I said, "Oh, hey guys," and all that. Then they told me, "Well, you're a prisoner now."
Иди сюда, ко мне. Понял, куда попал? Понял.
Later, as the Ukrainian soldiers were leading me away, they said, "Just look at where they sent you." I was in complete shock. One of them said, "You're a walking corpse. Everyone who comes here ends up dead." I walked through a field of corpses. It was littered with bodies, all Russian soldiers. There wasn't a single Ukrainian among them, only Russians. No one was retrieving the bodies or doing anything at all.
My group consisted of 3 people, including me. When we set out on our combat mission, there were 36 of us in total. As far as I know, only 10 survived. Our specific task was to mine a road to prevent possible enemy reinforcements. However, before the mission, we were told that the settlement had been abandoned by the enemy and that only 2 or 3 enemy infantry soldiers remained, guarding food and ammunition that had yet to be retrieved. As soon as we arrived at the location in 4 combat vehicles and began to disembark, we immediately came under heavy enemy fire. There was a drone attack, followed by mortar shelling, and so on. In reality, according to our estimates, there was at least an entire enemy company in that settlement. I, along with 4 other soldiers from different groups, ended up in the basement of a house. On the 26th, a tank fired at us, a heavy one. The house collapsed, and we were buried in the basement. We got out following the standard procedure. Guys, leave your weapons and body armor. You won't be able to climb out in armor. Everyone made it out. I was the second to last to crawl out. And when I did, I found myself surrounded by about 6 or 7 soldiers wearing green identification tape and patches of the Azov unit. I immediately thought, that's it. This is the end. On behalf of everyone, I asked their senior officer, "Are you going to execute us? If so, give us 5 minutes to pray at least." To which they replied, "No, you won't be executed. You will be exchanged."
Well, I knew they were some Ukrainian unit. The guys were just regular working men. In Russia, we are told they are mercenaries. We need to liberate Ukraine from mercenaries and neo-Nazis. But in reality, none of that was true. I saw it all with my own eyes. I was completely stunned. I couldn't understand what was really happening.
The Army leadership often conceals information about soldiers who have been killed or gone missing. This is done to reduce the official casualty statistics.
We rarely spoke on the phone. We only called when he had already crossed the red line. I mostly called his commanders to check on him, to see how he was doing. Over the radio, his commander sent a message through, congratulating Lyosha on his birthday, saying everything was fine and that he was at his position. Then, on May 13th, I called, not the person I usually spoke to, but someone else, and he said, "Your husband is MIA." That was on May 13th. I asked, "What do you mean, MIA?" When I had spoken to someone else before, they told me he had sent a birthday greeting and that he was at his position. How could he have been MIA since May 6th, when on May 10th he was still reported to be at his position? And that's when it all started.
I have been in captivity since September 24th, 2024.
Do your relatives know about this?
They probably don't. In fact, I am almost certain they don't. Our military unit does not tell the whole truth, even if they know. It's easier for them to say I am missing in action, or KIA, than to report the real situation. That way, they don't have to sign any documents or explain how I ended up captured, because if that were to be investigated, commanders' heads would roll. So many people perished. Out of our entire company, only 3 survived. We are all here.
Relatives are deceived not only by commanders, but also by authorities at the level of the leadership of the Ministry of Defense.
Recently, the Red Cross visited our camp and gave us the opportunity to write letters home. I live in a section with 198 other prisoners of war. I hesitated for a long time, whether to write or not, because I didn't know if I would shock my family or make them happy. That inner struggle tormented me. But in the end, I overcame my doubts and decided that I had to let them know I was alive.
But such letters simply do not reach relatives in Russia.
The Red Cross called and asked, "Have you received any letters?" I said, "What letters?" "Letters from your husband." I replied, "No, but I know that he wrote them." But the letters never arrived. They told me, "Your letters are at the Ministry of Defense. Call them and ask where they are." But I haven't been able to get through. It's useless. The call goes through, but no one picks up.
It has already been about 3 months going into the 4th. Logically, it's possible that my family hasn't even been informed about what happened to me. There's complete uncertainty, and maybe by now, someone already believes that I am dead.
Sometimes people call, only to find out that the person has already been buried at home. There's a wreath standing there for them, and they're told that they've died. This happens all the time.
Some people don't let anyone know they're alive and well because they have no family or close relatives in Russia. In fact, this was even one of the reasons why some of them signed a contract and went to the special military operation. And there are those who realize that no one is looking for them, people who, let's say, led an immoral lifestyle. Many of them signed a contract simply because their relatives pushed them into it. For example, I knew a guy who drank a lot. His wife told him, "Go sign a contract." So he did, and he didn't even realize how he ended up there. He never saw a single penny of the money he was supposed to receive. His wife never called him again.
Do you think your relatives are looking for you?
I think... Can I not answer that question?
The search for missing soldiers begins with contacting government agencies, the Ministry of Defense, the Investigative Committee, the Military Prosecutor's Office, but it leads to nothing.
I don't even know how to explain it. You don't know where to turn, where to run. Everywhere you go, doors are basically shut in your face. Everyone says, "That's not our responsibility. We don't know what to do." In short, no one knows the procedure. Not the draft office, not the FSB. It seems like they themselves don't even know what to do. They just send you off, do their job, and after that, you're left to deal with your troubles on your own. When we went to the investigative committee, I remember this one story. There was an older woman sitting there. I don't know exactly how old she was, maybe around 70. She had also lost her son. She came in, trembling, clutching her papers, showing them. They showed her their papers, and that was pretty much it. There was no real help. And there are so many cases like this. When you sit in the waiting room, everyone shares their stories. This is what happened to us. This is our situation. And everyone says the same thing. We went here, we went there, and it was the same story. They just get a standard response. Your case has been accepted for review. Then they say, measures will be taken. But that's where it ends.
My wife. She's the kind of person who might want to do everything she can, but maybe she just doesn't know how, who to turn to, what to do, how to proceed. And if she was told I'm missing in action, we know a woman who lives there, a friend of my wife's. She lost her son. He was missing for 6 months. Then they called her to Rostov. She gave a DNA sample, and they confirmed he had died. So if someone is listed as missing in action, there's already a 90% chance that they're dead. Gone.
On social media, there are many groups where families post photos of missing and deceased soldiers. These groups on Bureaucratic and Telegram have tens of thousands of members.
It turns out there are so many search groups. And when you start looking, you enter a world with two parallel realities. Some people live their normal lives, completely unaware of what's happening. Others live in a completely different reality. You don't know where to turn. And there's this indescribable fear, this horror at everything that's happening. It feels like there are two separate lives. There's one playing out on TV, and then there's another one, which is completely different. And people don't even realize just how terrifying it really is. There are unfiltered images, ones you can't look at without crying. It doesn't matter if you know the person or not. It's just an overwhelming wave of emotions. I've never experienced this kind of stress in my life. Looking, searching, reading these stories, it's terrifying. But in the end, through our own efforts, we found him.
In January 2024, the humanitarian project I Want to Find was launched in Ukraine. It serves as a unified search center for Russian military personnel in Ukraine. With the I Want to Find chatbot, users can locate a missing person if they are in captivity, or else obtain information about deceased individuals whose bodies or remains have been found and identified in Ukraine.
I was advised to contact the official Ukrainian chatbot. It's a state-run Ukrainian project. I was told to fill out an application. At that time, many people tried to dissuade me. Why are you submitting information about your loved one there? In the end, when I filled it out, I only provided the last name, first name, patronymic, date of birth, and the approximate location where he might have gone missing. Then, about a week later, I received a response stating that no such person was found, that there was no such person on the territory of Ukraine. Again, there was panic, distress, and the feeling of not knowing what to do next. However, in this Telegram channel, there are several women who are very active and helpful. They told me not to lose hope because the number of applications is huge, and sometimes they don't have time to process them all. They advised me to wait rather than submit another request. And then, on June 20th, we received an official response confirming that the person in question was in Ukraine as a prisoner of war. At that moment, I think we felt both relief and joy. At least we knew he was alive.
From what I've heard, Irina Krenena visits POW camps and facilitates contact through the I Want to Find project. This project helps locate relatives and loved ones. Last time, some young men from the Chechen Republic who are staying with me were found by their families. Interestingly, it wasn't their relatives in Chechnya who found them, but family members living in France.
Your relatives, all of them, found you through the I Want to Find project and requested a video call with you. That's why we've gathered you all here today. Each of you will be able to get in touch with your families.
I called.
Oksana called.
I don't even know. I just cried, that's all. I was in shock. Yes, I tried to analyze something in my head, to ask this or that. What happened? How it all went down. But when I saw him, that was it. Those 10 minutes were, of course, nothing. But at least it was something. I could see that he was alive and well. That's how it was.
And I miss you so much. I love you.
We love you too. We miss you so much.
I love you all very much. Things turned out this way. I ended up in captivity.
It's okay.
Everyone I was with, everyone, all the guys, they all died. In the end, only 4 of us from the whole convoy survived. That's how it happened. Maybe it was your prayers that kept me alive?
Son, don't worry. Everything will be okay.
I survived. I'm in shock. Just in shock from what happened in this war. I barely made it. Can you believe it? My buddy died. He was lying next to me under a tree. He died just like that. Poor guy. We lay there hugging, keeping each other warm. He died on January 7th.
The most important thing is that you survived.
If you compare the number of missing persons with the population of Russian regions, then proportionally, Moscow and the surrounding region are in last place. The leaders are the national republics, Zabaikalsky Krai, the Republic of Tiva, and the Republic of Komi. A large number of applications came from Chelyabinsk region, where Alexander Sedin was born. He was also on the list of the missing.
Your daughter found you.
Daughter? Anastasia?
Yes.
I haven't known for 4 months. I haven't been in touch.
Who's to blame that you're not sitting next to your family but are in captivity? Who is to blame? Explain.
Money. My wife has cancer.
Cancer?
Yes.
But cancer treatment is free in Russia.
In Russia, they burned her internal organs and veins. They were supposed to perform surgery in September, but they assigned chemotherapy twice a month. They burned her internal organs and veins, and all summer they didn't do anything.
They miscalculated the dose of the medication?
I don't know. On top of that, they also introduced hepatitis. That's all. And where we live, in Magnitogorsk, you have to travel every time, hire a car, 7,000 rubles. Only one bus goes to Chelyabinsk. That's half the problem. Then to Troitsk, it's 5,000 rubles. And every time the tests have to be fresh. And it's this constant back and forth. I tried to get a job in the city, but it still wasn't enough. I tried, it didn't work. And then I had to take out the loans. Damn, I took out the loans and got hooked on drinking. I don't know what to do.
Got hooked on drinking? Did you start drinking?
Of course. Then I thought I needed to find a way out. The bank called. Someone told me, why don't you try this?
What a kind person.
I came to the recruitment office. I had hardly opened my mouth when they said, that's it, let's go. Let's go. No medical examination, nothing. Even though my spine was damaged, I had broken my neck and my knee ligaments had been torn.
When you break your neck, you can't walk.
I was bedridden for a while. Yeah. They said, everything's fine. You'll be a driver. You have the proper license. No medical exam, nothing. They just gave me a ticket for blood tests. 3 blood samples. And that was it.
Instead of a driver, you ended up as a stormtrooper. So, you signed a contract. How long did it take to get to Ukraine?
On the 11th, I was at the assembly point, and on the 13th, I was on Ukrainian territory. We wandered, got caught in one shelling, then we all returned. The next day, they named the spots again. We went, and they shelled us again. There, my buddy was torn in two.
What? Your buddy was torn in two, right in front of you?
Yes, we were lying under the tree together.
And how is it for you? I just can't imagine. It must be very hard to go through. How?
Of course, it's hard. I spent the night next to him. The first shell hit the tree he was under. He got scared. He ran to me and I said, "We're both going to be hit now." There was an explosion. I looked. His bulletproof vest was on top, but the bottom part was gone. He was just lying there with his lips moving, trying to say something, but couldn't say anything. His eyes just closed. That's it.
And what was his call sign?
Kerosene.
Was he young?
Yes, about 35, maybe even younger.
And here's another example of how commanders treat their soldiers.
They started shelling us.
Why do you think they did that?
Well, they didn't want us to be taken prisoner.
But they saw that you were already captured. Why? Did they want to kill you?
Probably, yeah. Most likely. What else?
What do you think? Why are they doing this? You're not the first one to say this.
No, I'm not the first. There are quite a few. I don't know why they're doing this. Maybe just reconnaissance by combat, or whatever nonsense this is. I don't know.
They don't care about you.
I know. Just cannon fodder, and that's it.
Yeah.
What would you like to say to your family if they see this video?
I'd like to tell my mom not to worry, and my dad too. Don't worry. And tell my wife that I'll be home soon.
All the prisoners of war we managed to talk to are hoping for a quick exchange. Some even mention timeframes in conversations with their families, apparently to give them some hope. In reality, though, it's impossible to predict who will make the list and return home.
I think maybe in 3 or 4 months they'll exchange me. There are conscripts here, many of them.
Are there many conscripts?
Many 18-year-olds, a lot of conscripts. Not all of them have been exchanged yet, even the conscripts.
When you see how exchange plans are made, for example, 2 or 3 months, 4 months, some have been there for 2 years, a year and a half. I just can't understand this. How do they even manage all this? Why, for example, someone gets captured and they exchange them straight away, but some people stay there for 2 years completely forgotten. That's totally unclear. Alexei has been there for 9 months already.
Moreover, returning to Russia as part of an exchange does not guarantee that the war is over for these soldiers. Many are sent back to the front lines.
There have already been people who were captured for the second time. They say that after being exchanged, they would be sent to hospital for a week or 2, and then sent home. They're supposed to get various compensations. Then they need to go to the unit, go to St. Petersburg, basically do what they had to do. This is what they're saying.
When were they exchanged?
They were exchanged in 2024.
What month was that?
I think in April.
And what happened? Were they sent back?
Yeah, they were exchanged. The compensation was $3 million, a recalculation of their salary and everything.
And then they were sent back?
Then they were there for 8 months. Then they got into some trouble again and went back to the war.
What could they have gotten into?
Well, again, I don't know. They started doing all sorts of crazy stuff again.
Regarding crazy stuff, I hope you'll keep your promise, right?
Well, of course, I'll only be doing crazy stuff with you, Vika.
But I think that in Russia, the special services will be bothering me a lot. Though they'll definitely let me return home, I think. But I won't go back to war, that's 100%. I'd rather do jail time in Russia. Let them shoot me even, but let them shoot me at home. At least I'll be on my own land, where they can bury me peacefully.
I would advise everyone who finds themselves in such a situation not to despair, to contact all the authorities, even though none of them will be happy to hear from you, and it's unlikely anyone will help. Still, do contact them and reach out to Telegram channels. You can find help and actually find a person who can help. After all, despite the fact that there are many casualties, don't give up until the very end. Patience, strength.
What would you like to say to your family if they see this video?
That I'm alive. Wait for me. Stay strong. Don't worry too much. I love everyone. I'm a fool for not listening to you, Kshusha, my wife. Once again. You were right. You waited for me all your life. Shit, I've been in prisons for more than 15 years. You waited all the time, raised the kids, all on your own. She deserves a monument. Truly, so much patience.
The Insider's journalists continue their work despite pressure from Russian authorities. You can support them by liking this video, leaving a comment, and subscribing to our channel. If you'd like to further support their efforts, consider making a donation by clicking the link in the description below.